अस्सलाम वालेकुम ख़वातीन हज़रात। आज के एपिसोड में बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन होने जा रही है जो आप सबका माइंड ब्लो कर देगी। आज मेरे साथ मौजूद हैं तालिया अहमद। वेलकम तालिया टू द एपिसोड। क्या हाल है आपका?
बहुत शुक्रिया मेहरू। मैं आपका बहुत तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि आपने मुझे अपने पॉडकास्ट पे बुलाया है और इतना संगीन किस्म का ये टॉपिक है और बहुत ही ज़रूरी मैसेज है माशरे के लिए जिस पे हमने आज बात करनी है। तो आपका बहुत शुक्रिया मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए।
कोई मसला नहीं, मेरी उर्दू यहीं ख़त्म हो गई है तो थोड़ा शिफ्ट बैक करते हैं टू इंग्लिश। हाउ आर यू डूइंग तालिया?
I am doing very well, Meru. Thank you so much for this check-in.
No problem at all. मैंने कहा before we begin, like we always do like hi, how are you, वगैरह, but today's topic is so important and it is like a public service announcement to everybody. So I thought I should give it a little news take. You know what I mean?
बिल्कुल सही है, बहुत अच्छा किया आपने set the stage कर दिया है. So now let's take it off. How
पहली बात, happy Ramadan to everybody. And to you too, Talia. When we're recording this, अभी रमजान शुरू नहीं हुई, but जब आप लोग देख रहे होंगे रमजान शुरू हो चुकी है. So happy Ramadan to every single buddy. Talia, any plans for this month?
Happy Ramadan, everybody. First of all, happy Ramadan. Plans यही हैं कि हमने घर में बंद रहना है और रोजे रखने हैं. I'm working from home as well. So yes, I'm gonna just be fasting from home and just trying this month to, center myself, make myself a bit more spiritually connected, and set some goals for myself spiritually that I'd just like to pursue.
Yeah, good plan. Maybe lose some weight, maybe, but it's always at the end of the month you always end up gaining some. I don't know what the thing is with Ramadan, but yeah, so that's the plan. But yeah, so coming back to today's episode, we have chosen this topic today, everybody, because we are like इसमें हमने PhD की हुई है दोनों ने, तालिया और मैंने. Not by choice हमने PhD की है at a young age, but
this was our calling. This is our calling.
We're experts in this topic, and that topic is.
And just announcement, we're not experts in anything else, but we're definitely experts in this.
For sure. And what is that we're experts in?
We are experts in being single.
तालियां.
शुक्रिया.
तालियां. हम आज बात करने लगे हैं कि हम कितने chronically single हैं, ठीक है? और what is it like? What is it being like being single, and what is the issue with being single?
Because you also have to understand, like, if there is any Desi disease out there, only the biggest Desi disease that all Desi parents are scared of is having a child that contracts being single.
इसकी वैक्सीन बहुत मुश्किल से
मिलती है और जो मिलती है ना उसकी गारंटी ना 50-50 रेट होता है. तो आपको पता है राइट नाउ 50-50 वाली जो वैक्सीन है कोई नहीं लेना चाहता.
हमने ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लिया था टू बी हमने बहुत पहले यंग एज से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया हुआ है कि टू बी सिंगल. तो आज हम उसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल. And I think ये बड़ा जरूरी टॉपिक है because we have to talk about it, right? Like I think if in our society there are so many words to describe a single person, especially a single woman. Like बिचारी है, spinster है, रह गई है.
Something is wrong with her. कुछ ना कुछ तो हुआ होगा, बेचारी ने शादी नहीं की.
क्योंकि बीमार है ना, it's a disease.
Exactly.
Being single is being बीमार. It's the equivalent of that. You're useless, you're pathetic, there's nothing that you are good for in this society. क्योंकि बेटा आप settled नहीं है. तो आपकी जिंदगी में कोई कमी है that you have to come up, fulfill. And that can only be fulfilled when you are married and settled. But clearly...
I have a question. क्या कोई एज आती है जिसके बाद ये बीमारी शुरू होती है? क्योंकि आई थिंक एक्सपेक्टेशन है सोसाइटी में, राइट, कि इस एज तक अगर ना हो शादी, अगर ना मिले तो आई वुड से लाइक मिड 20s में भी, लेट 20s इवन.
देखो एक ना अर्ली वार्निंग डेट्स आती हैं. This starts, like the process starts, I think 18 पे तो ना सारे parents are like, okay, we have to like get our children vaccinated. So 18 से they try to get your child vaccinated against this, right? So 25 up to the age of 25 is like, especially for girls, is आपने you have to get your child vaccinated by 25 because उसके बाद ना आपकी best before date आ जाती है. उसके बाद everything else is just, you know, stale products.
सही
And
बिल्कुल.
then or फिर expiry date is like usually around 30 or close to 20. 30 तो like is a
Yeah.
scary word, right? So
Yeah.
I am 28. I'll be turning 29 this year. And clearly by Desi standards, I am far away from my
You've touched your expiry date almost. Best before date.
Best before date तो गई. अब I think
Oh, God.
expiry date के करीब आ रही हूँ. तो you know, so we are मैं तो उस माहौल में आ चुकी हूँ. You're right, I'm तो बेचारी है, पता नहीं क्या मसला है, बेटा अल्लाह मियाँ आप पे रहम करे. उस वाले स्टेज पर आई हुई हूँ, right?
मेरी अभी वो एज आई गेस मुझसे एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं है अभी सोसाइटी के आंखों से, बट ये जरूर है कि
आप अभी अपनी ईट बाय डेट के अंदर ही हैं.
जी, मैं अभी वो वार्निंग लेबल से पहले अपना एंजॉय कर रही हूँ टाइम, बट ये जरूर है कि मैंने सुन लिया हुआ है कि ओए तुम्हें कोई मिला नहीं अभी तक, शादी नहीं करनी, इतना पढ़ पढ़ के क्या कर लोगी, शादी का टाइम कैसे निकालोगी या हस्बैंड के लिए टाइम कैसे निकालोगी. तो ये चीजें मैंने सुन ली नहीं है, और क्या कहते हैं, किसी और को जब बताई जा रही होती हैं तो मैं ऑफ कोर्स आई कैन हियर देम टू. सो या मगर मैं अभी उस एज में हूँ कि अभी तक मुझे, या लोग मुझसे शायद डरते हैं यार, तालिया कोई आके मुझे बोल नहीं सकता मुंह पे कि ओए शादी नहीं करनी, वरना उसका रिप्लाई मैं यही करूंगी, यार सॉरी मैं बहुत बीमार हूँ, मैं शादी नहीं कर सकती. मुझे क्रॉनिकली सिंगलनेस की बीमारी है और इसकी दवाई आज तक डॉक्टर ने नहीं निकाली, इसका कोई क्योर नहीं है, मुझे माफ कर दें.
That's brilliant. And I think सबसे पहले like this is true, like you could be an accomplished person. आप दुनिया के top scientist हो सकते हो, आप चांद पे जा सकते हो, you could be an astronaut, you could be the best painter on the planet, you could win an award, but because you're single, you are just a failure. Like आप accept कर लो बेटा, you have achieved nothing in your life, right?
Yeah.
Even like your cousins, your friends, everyone is going to look at you that way, like as if something is missing in your life, and you're like, you know what? Oof. So I think सबसे पहले तो I just want to say, हमने बहुत बकवास कर ली है, लेकिन एक बात I would just like to say is that regardless of anything, just know this, that it is completely 100%, 110%. On every level, it is okay to be single.
Exactly. Can you not see the saneness in our minds? कि हम no jokes aside, guys, like we are really happy people, and that is why we're discussing this topic today, because there's nothing wrong with being single, and we are here to fight that pressure from society, your family, to say कि नहीं शादी करनी है, you have to find someone. और हाँ शायद it's your choice कि आपने शादी करनी है, but with time, with the flow, जो आपके लिए बेहतर है, जो आपने अपने लिए प्लान किया हुआ है, उसके हिसाब से. बट ऐसे नहीं कि जब किसी ने कह दिया.
Yeah, like आपको society के pressure के अंदर आके, you should never pursue a relationship or try to get married just to make people happy, right? And I think one of the biggest things is like we have to recognize that when people come and say like शादी नहीं की, that is a form of bullying. People have to recognize that कि आप किसी को bully कर रहे हैं ये सब कुछ बोल के. Like for example, आप imagine, and this is not necessarily something that is in somebody's control. Right, like तुम्हें कोई मिल नहीं रहा, like भाई कोई दुकान है, कोई सब्जी मंडी है, मैंने जहाँ पे जाके like you know I'm gonna go and purchase this person.
कोई next time कहेगा ना तालिया कि तुम्हें मिल नहीं रहा, तुम कहना यार वो out of stock है अभी.
वाकई में, that's a good idea. No, and I one time I did say that to somebody. They're like तुम्हें कोई मिलता नहीं है, and I'm just like, आंटी कौन सा सब्जी मंडी है जहाँ पे मैं जाऊँ और जाके लेकर आऊँ, आप प्लीज मुझे बताएं, मैं जाके अभी लेकर आती हूँ, मुझे बताते हैं. Like so sometimes like people have to recognize that as well, right? So like आप imagine करो किसी को, let's say somebody has a physical disability, somebody has, or somebody is in a very dire situation but which is not within their control, for example. आप उसको ये बार बार बोलो कि तुमने ये ठीक नहीं करवा, like हम करते हैं, let's say किसी के चेहरे पे कोई मार्क है या कुछ है, we did an episode on body shaming, right? Something that is outside of somebody's control, लेकिन आप बार बार बोलो तुमने इलाज नहीं करवाया, right? So
तो पतली नहीं होना, तुमने पतली नहीं होना.
Yeah, and even with that, like let's say that is still, I guess, to a certain degree in like somebody's control if it's not like something that's like a really big health issue. It's a challenge, right? And not saying
Yeah.
that you have to lose weight, but something that sometimes could be really difficult for somebody in the sense that लेट्स से किसी को कोई मसला है लाइक हेल्थ चैलेंज है या कोई और फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट है और आप उसको बार बार बोल और उसको पता है let's say हाँ even like actually you're right Meru, like even if it's like weight loss what I meant is like let's say there's a person who is trying to lose weight and they're not being able to lose it and you're like तूने पतले नहीं होना you're creating an anxiety for that person. You're
because maybe they
bullying
are
them.
trying, you know, also maybe they're
Exactly.
trying. And I think what you're trying to say is weight loss in some senses, in some ways, can be in your control, in the sense that yeah, you can work out or if you look after your health in some way, but at the same time if it's an actual physical challenge for someone, they can't lose that weight.
Sorry, like what I meant was that like let's say that you're okay with like that's not something, it's a concern for you, like that's not something you're working on, like it's not something you were focusing on. That's what I had meant. But yeah, like let's say somebody is working on losing weight or they're trying to get healthy and they're facing challenges in that sense, then that person is gonna feel like complete and absolute like absolutely miserable, right? और आप उसको बार बार याद करवा रहे हो तो लाइक पहली बात तो ये कोई डिजीज है नहीं जो सब जिस तरह हम उसको ट्रीट करते हैं कि एज इफ कोई बहुत बड़ा पैंडेमिक घूम रहा है आजकल लड़कियां शादी नहीं करती हैं
एंड ऑल अपने करियर पे इतना फोकस्ड है इनको तो भूल गया है कि फैमिली क्या होती है फैमिली वैल्यूज
I like exactly you don't know how amazing it's gonna be after you get married. And you know what, Meru, this is a really interesting point because this is the important baat ke double standards in Desi community, right? Because if it's a Desi man who's single, the pressure or like the expectations of his are like ठीक है यार तुम because they're like तुम्हें जब चाहोगे तुम्हें मिल जाएगी, right? Yeah, whatever, just focus on getting rich.
Yeah, he's focusing on his career. He's trying to establish a foundation where he will be able to allow his like he will be able to welcome family members into his, he'll be able to offer a life to his wife, because that apparently is his responsibility. He has to be the earning breadwinner of the house, right? So the responsibility, yeah. So like I know a lot of men who get married like later in mid 30s, maybe late 30s, just because they've spent time studying, spent time establishing themselves, अपने पैरों पे खड़े हो रहे होते हैं basically. And वो जब when they're getting married, मैंने बिल्कुल भी नहीं सुना या शायद बहुत ही कम सुना है कि ओ इतनी लेट शादी क्यों कर रहे हो या ओ like were you waiting for the right one, you know?
No, exactly.
लड़कों के लिए कि they're waiting for the right one, but फिर लड़कियों के लिए कि ये तो इनके साथ कुछ खराब है.
No, for sure. And like there's also like this concept about like a career is something a man pursues, औरत सिर्फ job करती है, right? And I think maybe we can have a podcast another day on like careers for women, but the concept is कि अगर औरत काम कर रही है तो वो किसी मजबूरी में कर रही है या वो बस टाइम पास के लिए कर रही है,
या जब तक उसको कोई मिल नहीं जाता,
जब तक उसको कोई मिल नहीं जाता. Even if girls that are like, you know, going to school to become a doctor or and like, you know, I remember like a cousin of mine, he was making fun of like a couple of like our other cousins, like all these girls who went to like a really good university and then they all just ended up getting married and having kids, and that's fine, that's their own choice. But like his answer was like, why did their families waste so much money on educating them and like sending them to top university if they were just going to get married? And like I'm not shaming anybody who's had picked that
a good education and got married,
but oftentimes, but like the way like I know in the families, and of course there's not mentorship available to women, and that's the type of conversation that
it's an actual reality that women go to school to pursue something. However, after they get married and they start their family, for example, they are unable to exercise that career choice that they had. And unfortunately the family system works, the man works, the wife takes care of the kids, right? So maybe they did go to Columbia University to do a PhD and they ended up doing it, but just because they got married they were unable to go forward in their careers because their responsibilities changed.
And
at the end of it वो औरत पे आता है.
और भी आता है. और दूसरी बात है, like it's a story that we've been taught since we're young, right? हम छोटे होते से जब gender norms हमें जो सिखाए जाते हैं, लड़कियों को गुड़िया दी जाती है, you know, like you're a homemaker, आपको बचपन से तैयार किया जाता है शादी करने के लिए, right? So your role models and आपके इर्द गिर्द, not many families, especially within the Pakistan, like the Pakistani diaspora ho jaye, ya even Pakistani society at large back home, there are not going to be many role models around you who are professional women, right? Like in your own circles, like you will have, it's very interesting who you will see who's pursuing like a career one generation before ours, or even job yahan kar rahi hoti, koi idhar job kari wahan pe kari, magar nobody's like diligent in terms of like their career. And sorry, were you going to say something, Mehru?
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about guriyan वगैरह वगैरह. बचपन में yeah, girls toys are what? Kitchen का set, ठीक है. चाय बनाने, like teacups, Barbie dolls, istri stand, like, you know, I even have my kid pictures where I'm like ironing clothes at the age of 2.
Yeah.
And then whereas my brother, for example, he's like with a car or something like that.
Yeah, आप doctor set ले आते हैं, आप उनके
yeah,
लिए,
a doctor set.
and there's construction sets.
Exactly, gender disparities in like toys as well for kids, right? What was I going to say? I was going to say ke, and these translate into आगे जाके. And I remember एक scandal हुआ था, या scandal था, situation थी जब Barbie was basically being questioned कि why are all your Barbies just girls who wear nice clothes and are fashion icons? Why aren't there astronauts? Why aren't there Barbie doctors? Why aren't there Barbie career-oriented Barbies? Why is it just Barbies want to have fun and Ken goes to work? You know, Ken drives the car. Like, why can't Barbie drive her own car? Or why can't? So I remember the time I don't know if I was very young or is this recent, but that's when the Barbie started coming out with like career-oriented Barbies.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I remember, like, and I think now even with Disney and all these other cartoons, like they're trying to make better role models for kids. Yeah, but like I think we can speak for millennials, and I know you're not a millennial, Mehru.
I'm at the border of Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah, so come on, guys. Like anybody listening, Mehru's a Gen Z. Like, so I'm still a millennial, right? So I think for like millennials and stuff, like around our the time we were growing up, the toys that we had or the television that we watched, the stories that we read, the woman was definitely a homemaker in them, right? Like I remember I was a big Barbie fanatic. All my Barbies were beautiful princesses. Or like I remember, like I got this big family Barbie set where there was Ken and there was a couple of kids and all of them, and like I love those Barbies, of course.
You
but
had to be the lucky one to get Ken.
Yeah,
not everybody had a Ken in their Barbie set. Yeah,
not everybody had a Ken. That's why I actually got it. And I actually got kind of and that Barbie was a pregnant Barbie as well. And I remember
I've
like
never seen a pregnant Barbie.
Yeah, it was really cool. And she had like a couple of like she had like do chote bache, and then she had like a little newborn baby as well, and you could detach the tummy and everything too. It was really, and there was Ken, and it was a full on like a really big set that I remember I bought. I know, right? So that was goals. And I remember an auntie of mine actually was like to my mother like, "Oh, hi, aap isko kya leke de rahi hai," right? And so I'm like, whatever. But I'm glad like my mom didn't really care, and she got, because I love that Barbie set. Like
yeah, it's like being pregnant is wrong or something, unethical.
Pata nahi yaar,
like what? That's life.
So I going back to like being single though. So like हमें बचपन से ये कहानियां सिखाई जाती हैं, right? So like for example, being a workaholic as a woman is considered like तुम्हें शादी नहीं करनी है, तुम्हें जिंदगी में time नहीं बनाना. And you know what? Like that's true. Like being a workaholic may not be good for you, like overall in your for your mental health. And maybe we all need a work-life balance. That's okay. But there's also like double standards.
Career-oriented is different than workaholic, and many people misunderstand that. Like,
but like that's what I'm saying, right? Like let's say, and especially in your early days of your life, like in your career, you're gonna have to and if it's a competitive career, right? Like you're not just doing a regular 9 to 5 job. You're like, okay, you know, I have this profession, मैं ठीक हूँ, मैंने इसमें बस excel करना है या जो भी है. You're actually like, you know, trying to grow, and you want to, let's say it's a corporate career, like you want to grow, or like you're in consulting, or let's say you're in the medical research field.
That's time consuming.
It's time consuming. It's like literally having a full-time relationship, and you have to give a lot of time. So लड़कों के लिए expected है कि ठीक है, right? Or like I have cousins that like guy cousins that are like, you know, if they're gonna go live abroad or in different cities, that's all, like it's acceptable, like there's no issue with it. But like I know that if I would want to say like, you know what, like I have a couple of like career options in a couple different places, like I'm not ready to like just say I'm gonna live here in this city for the next couple of years, like, no, I may want to travel next month somewhere else, or there's like, tumne shadi kab karni hai? To shadi ke, and it's like, where does, like, why is that even a consideration? Like, why is that even a consideration for me, right? Like, why can't I pursue what I want and give, that is something that I'm passionate about, that is something I want to, like, you know. And oftentimes I've realized, my jab bhi, like, I have this conversation about, like, okay, Hanji, you can go ahead, look for somebody for me, or like, you know, oh yeah, I probably need to find somebody. Then I sit and I'm like, why did I just say that? And then I always think it's because somebody or the other came by and just reminded me कि बेटा तुम्हें disease हुआ है, ये भूलो मत, तुम बीमार हो, हाँ तुम्हें वैक्सीन चाहिए, तो मैं फिर मुझे याद आता है कि मुझे वैक्सीन शायद चाहिए.
आपने career orientation की बात की, तो I remember मैं, like, when I started like getting into the workforce and I got a full-time job and I started working and stuff, so my job required me sometimes after hours, like when I was done, and I would get phone calls all the time or emails or whatever, and I had to get back to them because they were urgent. And I remember having this internal guilt, okay, how can I work after, like, I've clocked out, basically, like, maybe I'm not giving enough time to my family. Like, that internal guilt came out of nowhere. Like, मेरी अपनी खुद family में किसी ने नहीं बोला था कि 5 बजे के बाद phone क्यों सुनती हो, 5 बजे के बाद email क्यों करती हो, किसी ने नहीं मुझे बोला था, ठीक है, मेरी फैमिली में. और मैं खुद गिल्टी, लाइक, नहीं मैं आई कांट वर्क आफ्टर, क्योंकि फिर मैं फैमिली को टाइम कैसे दूंगी, ये आई वाज लाइक. और फिर मैं एकदम बैठ के मैं कह रही हूँ, यार मेरे तुम्हारे साथ क्या मसला है, लाइक, दिस इज, यू गिव टाइम टू योर वर्क. हाँ, मैं ये नहीं कह रही ओवर वर्क करना चाहिए या काम के बाद यू शुड गिव टाइम टू वर्क, लाइक ऐसे मैं नहीं कह रही कि that's not healthy, but जब कभी कभार है, so you should be able to do that. तो anyway, I was like, मेरू ये कहाँ से गिल्ट आ रहा है कि जैसे मैं अपनी फैमिली को टाइम नहीं दे सकती. और फिर मैं सोच रही थी कि यार, लाइक, इसीलिए, लाइक, आगे जाके अगर let's say I get married and I have this pressure कि I'm not giving, and because people do say it to their wives कि फैमिली को टाइम नहीं देनी, हर वक्त तुम काम करती रहती हो, या हर वक्त तुम अपने दोस्तों के साथ बाहर जा रही हो, फैमिली को कब टाइम दोगे, राइट? एंड I'm single as hell, man, and I was thinking that कि मैं अपनी फैमिली को टाइम नहीं दे रहा, और मेरे अम्मी को कह रहे हैं नहीं यार, it's okay, करो अपना काम, like whatever. But can you imagine, like, अपने अंदर से मेरी guilt आ रही है.
I'm on the other side of that spectrum, like complete other side of the spectrum, कि मुझे पता है कि sometimes, like, I have to, like, set some boundaries कि मैं बहुत काम करती हूँ, but I really do enjoy working. Like, I've been like that since I was, like, I remember, like, even when I was in university or even in high school, I would, like, enjoy studying, or I would enjoy, and because
I can't relate, sorry.
So, like, हमारी, like, for example, like, family शादी हो रही है या कोई ईद का function है and families together, I would be in a room sitting there studying, and not like out of like, hi, I'm missing out. Like, I'm happy. Like, I would go all dressed up and I'd go in the other room and I'd go sit and study. Or, like, you know, I've missed out on, like, events because I'm like, no, I have an exam to do, or I have work, I won't make it happen. And it's not like, I enjoy that, right? And often people may think, hi, pata nahi bichari hai isliye itna kaam karti hai, but no, it's actually because it's a choice. It's a choice, and that also doesn't mean कि मैं इतनी self conceited हूँ कि मैं अपनी family के लिए time नहीं निकालती हूँ. I think Mehru knows, everybody knows कि for me my family is number one. So I'll be there for them no matter. But the thing is, like, that expectation, I have that, I always feel like that, like, oh my god, I'm not taking enough time out for my family. And then I think, does my brother think like that? Like, would he think he has to take time out for the family, or would any of my guy friends or my guy cousins, do they think like that?
That's a very good tip, actually. So if you're at any time in that moment of guilt, like you're doing something wrong, always put yourself in a man's shoes and think, like, what would they do, and then act accordingly. Like, if they do something stupid, don't do that, but sort of think, like, is it because you're a woman and you're in that position that you're feeling guilty, or is it actual guilt out of a situation? But many of the times it's a gender guilt.
Absolutely. And it's ingrained in us, right? Like, even if I'm looking at a job posting or something, I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, I'll leave them apart, or like, I'll do this or that. But no, like, go ahead and do what you want to do. And I think one thing I just want to add in right now, right? Like, we are talking from, like, a point of view as being single women and being careered women, and, like, you know, trying to focus and building a career further. And that's sort of also, like, restrict, like, you know, we've chosen one over, it's not actually that we've chosen one over the other, it's just we haven't necessarily had somebody who's actually really
my longing for love.
exactly. Like it's sort of like someone haven't had the time to dedicate energy to that, but also the fact that no one's been able to really, you're like, I don't really think we will be able to establish something together. However, you could be someone who's finished school, staying at your parents' place. And in Desi societies, we do live with our parents, so we're married. Warna hi, pata nahi kya ho jata hai.
अकेले करने क्या जा रहे हैं?
अकेले करने कहाँ जा रहे हैं? That's another problem. It's still okay if you don't want to get married. You could be 27, 28, 30, जो भी आप अपने घर में हो, आप नई career oriented हो, आपको maybe books पढ़ने का शौक हो, आपको maybe bake करने का शौक है, maybe just like you're a chill person, you're okay and you're comfortable, you're privileged enough, you don't need to earn. There's nothing wrong. There is no need for you to feel like कि आपकी जिंदगी में कोई कमी है. You're a full, like ये जो हमें word है ना कि you have to become complete by getting married. That is a fallacy. Like इससे बड़ा कोई झूठ नहीं है. Okay, you become complete by becoming a married person. Like you as a person, you're complete. You're complete today. You were complete as a 5-year-old. You were complete as a 15-year-old. You're a complete. आपके अंदर कुछ missing नहीं है. You're on a life's journey, right? और आपके relationships develop होते हैं. एक experience नया होगा life में. But that doesn't mean कि आप as a person are like incomplete. आप मुकम्मल इंसान हैं.
And यार मुझे बात याद आती है कभी कभार लोग कहते हैं ना कि like शादी के बगैर you're like a missing puzzle piece, like कोई आप wait करें कि कोई puzzle fit. You're not a missing puzzle piece, you're whole, like आप complete हैं. You don't have to fit, you're already a completed puzzle. You have different aspects, those puzzle pieces are your aspects, वो किसी और के puzzle piece fit नहीं होने. It doesn't work like that. But if it does work like that, that's awesome. Like for example, if you find a soulmate, if you find a partner you enjoy spending time with and it flows for you, good for you. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? I know people जो they're 40 years old, 50 years old, और वो अच्छा खासा कमा रहे हैं, खुश हैं अपनी जिंदगी में, नजर भी आता है खुश हैं, but society ने लेबल किया है कुछ तो गलत होगा इसके साथ कि अभी तक शादी नहीं हुई इसकी लड़की की. और अच्छा, जब आप ये सारी बातें कर रही हो, so why is it so important to be single, or why do we think कि ये important है? I would like to say something here कि like why do we have to be in a relationship to figure out our worth, क्योंकि बहुत सारी relationships होती हैं, they break up at the end of the day, right? Well, there's heartbreak there, and this is before marriage. I'm talking about like I'm talking about Gen Z millennials, the border I'm talking about. So why do you have to get into a relationship to figure out what worked for you, what did not work for you? Like where were you upset, where were you happy? Why not figure out activities, hobbies, things you can do with yourself, going out shopping, going to eat something? Why not figure out yourself so you are complete, right? You know yourself, so what you can ask for and figure out and discover in a partner, right? So rather than getting into a relationship just for the sake of it or just for the society's pressure, why not figure out yourself? And then when you do get into a relationship, you, rather than having to figure all of that out with a partner, you can actually spend that time doing other stuff, which is spending quality time with them, giving the time and attention to them or something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think this is a brilliant point that you just brought up, Mehru, because you have to learn to know yourself. Before you enter into a relationship, you should know who you are. What are your core values? What are your belief systems?
Yeah.
What are your boundaries in life, right? What makes you happy? What doesn't make you happy? What are your dreams, your aspirations? What would you want from a partner in terms of finances, in terms of compatibility, in terms of verbal intimacy, someone who like your family, his family, like how are you going to manage all of these, right? Relationships and coming up with all of this type of stuff. Another thing I just wanted to just touch upon quickly is like the pressure that we were talking about, right? Like one big aspect of this is like we're facing this pressure from our families and society. Why is this pressure coming, right? Like why are they so scared about us getting married by this certain date?
Insecurities.
But insecurities that are linked to what? Like we were talking about this the other day, Mehru, it's patriarchy, right? So I know everything comes back to patriarchy. It's this belief system that in patriarchy, essentially men have the access to resources. क्योंकि आदमी कमाता है, आदमी के पास land rights है, आदमी के पास property है, जो भी है. तो जो औरत है उसको whatever she wants in life has to be through the man.
That's the
So
channel.
that's the channel. तो जब आपको या तो आपका बाप आपको देता है या शादी के बाद आपका भाई, लेकिन भाई की भी अपनी शादी होती है, उसके अपने बच्चे होते हैं, तो बहनों को नहीं देते हैं, राइट? या वो उनको साइड, तो उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, उस सिस्टम से निकलने के लिए आप अपने हस्बैंड को ढूंढो, और लाइक यू नो कि आप बेचारी, आपको एक सर्टेन तरह से दिखना है, यू हैव टू बी एबल टू एसेंशियली बेग दैट मैन, राइट, so that you can get your resources from him. And that is what you need to, like, we need to say, like, iske liye, like, are you kidding me? So once you're comfortable on your own, then you can actually say, you know what, I want a partner, I don't want a bank account.
यार ये मेरे साथ like in person मेरे साथ हुआ है at a young age too, not now. When I was like I think I was 16 or 17 at that 17 at that time. And I was in Pakistan और हमारा एक वो like members का club type होता है जहाँ sports वगैरह खेलते हैं, तो वहाँ मैंने अपनी मेंबरशिप बेसिकली ओपन करवानी थी क्योंकि मैं कनाडा आई हुई थी, फिर वापस पाकिस्तान जा रही थी, तो उस मोमेंट के लिए तो मैं ऑफिस में गई एंड मी एट a 16-17-year-old me thinking like I am independent. उस वक्त I was working and stuff and I was like मैं तो I'm like a self-sustained girl, मुझे किसी की जरूरत नहीं, मैं खुद ऑफिस पहुंच जाऊंगी तो मैं वो सोच के ना ऑफिस पहुंच गई। तो जब मैं उधर आई तो पहले तो थोड़ा सा यू नो उनके आंखों पे हैरान कि ये अकेली बच्ची कर क्या रही है इधर, ठीक है। और मैं सीधा अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मुझे अपनी मेंबरशिप ओपन करवानी थी, ये है मेरा कार्ड, प्लीज ओपन कर दीजिए। तो वो पहले से ना वो मुझे देख रहा है कि ये बातें क्या कह रही है, ठीक है। तो वो कहते हैं आपके हस्बैंड किधर है? मैंने कहा एक्सक्यूज मी, मेरा हस्बैंड कहीं भी नहीं। मैं कहा नहीं, मैंने पता नहीं क्या बोला था कि नहीं मेरे हस्बैंड नहीं है। तो वो कहते हैं अच्छा, तो फिर कंप्यूटर पे कुछ करके वगैरह कार्ड देख के, अच्छा तो आपके वालिद साहब वो नहीं आए साथ? मैं कहा जी मैं उस तक मैं पहले से यू नो एक मूड बना के गई थी, तब तक मैं आई वाज फ्रस्ट्रेटेड। आई वाज लाइक यार मेंबरशिप रिन्यू करानी है, कार्ड आपके सामने, पिक्चर उस पे वो है, मेरी शक्ल आपके सामने है, मैं आपसे बात कर रही हूँ, मैंने आपको बताया मेरा नाम मेहरून है, तो क्यों नहीं खुलवा रहे? वालिद साहब की क्या जरूरत है? मैंने बोला नहीं फिर मेरा बहुत दिल चाह रहा था, मैं कहूँ जी वालिद साहब गुजर चुके हैं मैं इतनी फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, मैं कि नहीं वालिद साहब इधर नहीं है, वालिद साहब कनाडा में
मोहसिन
हैं।
अंकल, अगर आप ये सुन रहे हैं, हम आपसे बहुत मोहब्बत करते हैं, अल्लाह मियां आपको सलामत रखे, आपको लंबी उम्र दे, आप हमारे ओरिजिनल हीरो हैं, आप
He is
जानते
going to
हैं।
live long, inshallah. But I
इंशाल्लाह।
was just like कि यार मैंने फिर उनको कहा नहीं वालिद साहब इधर नहीं है, वालिद साहब कनाडा में हैं। और फिर मैंने खुद ही बोल दिया, even though I shouldn't have, but मैंने कहा अच्छा चले मैं जब वो उठेंगे, क्योंकि टाइम डिफरेंस, मैं कहा अच्छा चले जब उठेंगे ना मैं उनसे कॉल मिला दूंगी ताकि आप उनसे बात करें। मैंने खुद ही ऑफर कर दी, because I was sick and tired at that point. तो he was like हाँ ठीक है, जब वो आप उनसे फोन पे बात होगी ना तो फिर उसके हिसाब से। तो it was not like my dad, because my dad is the sole member, right? So ठीक है, I understand maybe they need permission, but it was not that. It was कि there needs to be a man there जो who can sign you off basically. और फिर ये भी आप देख लो उनकी क्या कहते हैं, ज़हनी तवज्जो कहते हैं क्या, जो भी है सिचुएशन, कि मैं 16 साल की बच्ची से आप पूछ रहे हैं कि आपके हस्बैंड कहाँ हैं? मैं तो कह देती मेरे ख्वाबों में है, आ जाएंगे इंशाल्लाह कभी like ये क्या मजाक है? तो ये मेरे साथ really in life
Yeah,
now,
and
like as a single
exactly.
woman, as someone who thinks she's self-sustained at 16 or 17, goes to an office and she gets denied services just because she's not with a man, whether it be
Exactly.
a father, brother, dad, whatever.
और इसके consequences इतने dire हैं at like a different stage के जहाँ पे हमारी society में like we've accepted it, right? So हमारे जो diaspora में हम exist करते हैं, हमारे parents come from this society, right? और वो यही concept लेकर आते हैं। and even यहाँ पे ये नहीं कि west में कोई बहुत बेहतर था, यहाँ पे भी औरतों को बस कुछ ही decades पहले property rights मिले हैं, voting rights मिले हैं। तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि जी यहाँ वेस्ट वाले कोई ऊपर से अल्लाह मियां ने उनको यहाँ पे इतना
प्राइम एग्जांपल नहीं है, इनको भी टाइम लगा।
लेकिन आई थिंक एक ये बड़ी जरूरी चीज है कि एग्जैक्टली लाइक अगर आप कोई शादी का प्रेशर करे, आस्क देम आपको लाइक फिक्र किस चीज की है, राइट? तो इंटरेस्टिंगली लाइक माय अम्मी वाज लाइक आई थिंक आई कैन रिमेंबर हु आई वाज हैविंग दिस डिस्कशन विद, बट इट वाज अबाउट लाइक well I think it was maybe it was a cousin of mine. So I have lots of cousins.
आपके cousins की stories this podcast में special है
and you know and it's
और
funny
अगर
like
आपका कोई cousin ये देख रहा है
सुन रहा होगा, or there's so many of them as well, so I'm not, so they all would be like, which one
बड़ी
of us
टीम
said
है
this?
cousins की.
बहुत बड़ी family है. So like I remember like he was like, well, do you want to have kids? I'm like, yeah, of course I would want to have kids, I don't mind. And he's like, then when do you want to, like, don't you think you need to get on this? And I'm looking at him like, what is wrong with you, right? Like, and then I had the exact same conversation with my mother the other day too, and I'm like, Amma, like, you, first of all, like, एक तो चीज है कि ये जो acceptability के औरत को अगर माँ बनना है or having children, right, you can only have it through the man. ये भी बहुत problematic है, because as we're only saying for a woman that you can become a mother only when you give birth to a man's, like, उसकी offspring, उसके heirs तुम पैदा करोगी, जो हमारे patriarchal system में शादी in the form to have children. But the thing is, why can't I go out and adopt a child when I want to, when I'm ready, when I think I'm financially ready? Why can't I? Because
आपने बहुत खूबसूरत बात की है, पर ये बहुत like I hope ये लोगों को ऐसी बात पहुंचे, ये like ये बहुत आपने अच्छी बात की है, पर ये यहाँ तक सोच नहीं पहुंची,
अभी तक पहुंची नहीं, राइट? क्योंकि इस बात का डर भी, बिकॉज व्हाट द थिंग इज, द डर ये हो जाएगा फिर तो तुमसे कोई शादी ही नहीं करेगा ना। अगर तुम्हारे अपने बच्चे होंगे तो फिर तुमसे कोई शादी नहीं करना चाहेगा। एंड यू लाइक व्हाट, लाइक, तो फिर मैं क्या मशीन रह गई हूँ? इज दैट ऑल माई, लाइक आई एम ओनली लाइक अ मीन्स टू ब्रिंग चिल्ड्रन फॉर अ मैन एंड ब्रिंग हिम प्लेजर एंड हैप्पीनेस, बट मेरे अपने ड्रीम्स, मेरे अपने एस्पिरेशंस कहाँ पे हैं, राइट?
Your choice to nurture a kid to
exactly.
Yeah. And यहाँ ही तो वो phrase use होता है, मेरा जिस्म मेरी मर्जी, my body my choice my rights. तो जब आपका cousin आपसे पूछ रहा है don't you want to get on it, like इतना delay क्यों कर रही हो, that is the moment we are supposed to say कि अच्छा जी मेरी बॉडी है, पेट मेरा बाहर निकलेगा, आपका नहीं निकलेगा, तो stay in your lane basically.
No, exactly, like it's, and also at the same time, like, अच्छा, like you know कि वो जो दिमाग, एक तो दूसरी बात ये है, ये जो साइंटिफिकली आप लोगों को डराया हुआ ना कि 25 के बाद बच्चे पैदा नहीं होते, like come on, like guys please go read couple of scientific journals.
ये तो मैंने भी बहुत बच्चों ने सुना था कि like ये जरूर है कि complications होती हैं at a later age, ये मैंने जरूर बहुत अच्छी तरह सुना हुआ है, but ये कि 30 के बाद मजा नहीं आता बच्चे करने का।
मैं कोई डॉक्टर नहीं, मैं यहाँ पे कोई डॉक्टर नहीं बैठी हुई हूँ, लेकिन मैंने enough scientific articles पढ़े हुए हैं, and like you know please like go do your research as well, like it's a complete myth. Like I have friends, a lot of my friends are like in their 40s 50s, they've all had kids when they were in like in their late 30s and their 40s, beautiful children, healthy children, they're living the best life. And also like I've studied relationship development, oftentimes when parents are more secure and that's when they have children, they're actually able to give, you know, their children a better developmental like environment,
time, finances.
However, I also understand like if you're younger and you want to have more energy, maybe it's like I've also heard people say like, you know, आपके बच्चे जब younger हो जाते हैं, आप उनके साथ ही खेलते खेलते बढ़ जाते हो. That's fine as well. Like I'm not saying that you choose, like it's your choice when you want to have kids or not have kids. But आप जब हमें society में डराते हैं ना ये करने के लिए कि get married ताकि आपको कोई मिलेगा नहीं, या get married कि आपके बच्चे नहीं पैदा होंगे, भाई पहली बात तो ये कि मेरी जिंदगी में और भी बहुत सारे गोल्स हैं, right? Like it's yes, like it's probably a desire for some
प्रायोरिटी क्या है सबके लिए डिफरेंट है, बट सोसाइटी को लगता है प्रायोरिटी शादी है कि इस एज तक आके हमने यही ऑब्स्टिकल पास करना है, अगर ये फेज हम क्रॉस नहीं करेंगे हम अपना हम लाइक बेसिकली क्या कह सकते हैं कि हमारी लाइफ कंप्लीट नहीं हुई अगर हमने ये ऑब्स्टिकल पास नहीं किया, फेज ऑफ लाइफ पास नहीं किया.
Absolutely. And like with my family and like my mom and stuff, like I'm not that type of person that like nahi maine ye box band kar di, I'm not gonna do it, right? But like with my family, my mom, like she'll go and do it on her own, like she'll go like look around or like, you know, arrange marriage type, like wo dekhengi khud hi puchti rahengi, then she'll come to me like after, like she'll hear back or something, and I'm like, okay, good for you amma, like I'm not interested right now, right? Like great. मैं तुमको अक्सर अपनी अम्मा को डराती रहती हूँ, लाइक अम्मी, लाइक आपके पास ना जितने भी आपके 5-6 दोस्त बचे हैं ना, आपने मेरे हाथों लाइक अपनी वो भी दोस्तियां खराब करा देनी है, like just don't like pursue anything like this. But the thing is, it's like this unsettled need, right, that they constantly have, that they're trying to find somebody for you. And like I think only recently like mom's like, okay, I think it was really beautiful what she said to me the other day, and some days she relapses as well क्योंकि मेरी अम्मा भी relapse करती हैं, मगर we were having a conversation and she said अगर तुमने ये प्रायोरिटी नहीं बनानी है शादी को, then just go all out. Jao jo
Yeah.
marzi karna hai, har jagah apply karo, careers choose karo, ye wo, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at her, I'm like, finally she gets
That's
it.
such a beautiful message basically कि जो pursue करना है करो. और ये बात जो आप unsettled नहीं, तो क्यों हम आज ये बात कर रहे हैं कि हम single हैं is because we feel settled being single too. And like I want to talk about the things we do to keep our mental health in check कि ये society का pressure कि शादी 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 is something wrong with us, क्योंकि मैंने भी खुद question किया है कि is something wrong with me, but जैसे मैंने पहले podcast में कहा था, nothing is wrong with me. Even with being fat, I still get boys in my messages saying like, hey cutie, what is up?
So I'll just tell a really funny story. Like I went to study I was doing international relations, and I've noticed that there was like a lack of Pakistan competency in my university. So I wanted to get a more nuanced idea. So I went and did a semester abroad in Pakistan, and I went to LUMS, right? And I remember like when I came back, and I found it really hard to make any friends, or like I would stay at a place and come back. But auntie came and asked me, she's like, "Tumhe wahan pe koi mila nahi?" And I'm like, "Nahi." And as
लोगों को
it
लगा
like,
आप
and
वहाँ ढूंढने गई हैं किसी को.
क्योंकि मैं वहाँ, and I swear to God, I think I was 20 at that time,
Oh,
or
wow.
29, right? And I'm like, नहीं, she's like, फिर तो तुम्हें कोई मसला है, like तुम, and like she was hinting at like मेरे biologically कोई मसला है, and I'm just like, आंटी शायद है, I think so.
हाँ
आप सही कह रही है,
है
आप
मसला
कुछ
है.
सही कह रही हो, बाकी में मसला है, इसको मैं ठीक नहीं कर सकती हूँ.
अरे मुझे तो पता है कोई मसला है. हमें तो पता है एक दूसरे का कि हमारे में कुछ तो मसला है, पर वही मैं मजाक से कह रही थी ना कि इट्स नॉट अ चॉइस, ये तो हमारे पे डाला गया है.
क्या करें, और वैक्सीन मिली नहीं है अभी तक वैक्सीन
बिल्कुल.
ढूंढ रहे हैं.
बट तो कमिंग बैक टू कि लाइक हम क्या करते हैं टू कीप आवर मेंटल हेल्थ इन चेक, कि सोसाइटी का प्रेशर नहीं लेना. एंड दैट इज, जैसे हमने शुरू में बोला था, गेटिंग टू नो योरसेल्फ, डिस्कवरिंग योरसेल्फ, फाइंडिंग आउट व्हाट मेक्स यू हैप्पी, व्हाट अपसेट्स यू, व्हाट आर योर गोल्स, व्हाट आर योर फैमिली वैल्यूज, व्हाट आर योर ओन वैल्यूज, मॉरल्स क्या है, क्या वो शादी के बाद
Political
चेंज हो
values,
जाएंगी,
social
पॉलिटिकल वैल्यूज, ठीक है. तो क्या लाइक क्या आपने किसी और की लाइफ में फिट होके उसका क्या कहते हैं ब्लूप्रिंट फॉलो करना है, या क्या आप अपने ब्लूप्रिंट को साथ लेके जाना चाहते हो, एंड यू वांट टू से कि दिस इज लाइक दैट्स अ पार्टनरशिप, राइट? दैट्स नॉट के finding each other and just going along with it, but finding partnership in someone is that they accept you for who you are and your hobbies and activities or whatever, and then you are also allowing space for someone who is a complete person themselves as well.
100%,
That's
absolutely.
partnership. तो कोई एक्टिविटीज हैं तारा जो
Absolutely.
सिंगल लोग कर सकते हैं?
कौन सी एक्टिविटी ऐसी है कि नहीं कर सकते हैं? Of course, right? Like pursue activities that make you happy, that are like, for example, if you love reading, pursue reading. आपको skiing पसंद है, hiking पसंद है, and you know, like have a group of friends and do that. और अगर जो single person activities अकेले करनी है, आप paint करो, आप cook करो अपने लिए, अपने आप के, like why wait for somebody else to do something for you? Like
या मैं
enjoy.
कहना चाहूंगी मिसकंसेप्शन ये नहीं कि सिंगल है तो लोनर्स हैं, ठीक है? ये बिल्कुल नहीं है. तालिया एंड आई, मैं यहाँ बोलना चाहती हूँ कि वी आर वेरी सोशल पीपल. We have a good group of friends, and that is why we're also very happy being single, because our friends give us those like very special partnerships and bonds that we don't really need in someone else, in that sense. Like we're not looking for that, because we are finding that in our family, or like for example friends and stuff, and our career gives us a satisfaction that we put in hard work for something and we get the results at the end of the day, whether it be financial or just career choices, right?
Absolutely. Like, you know, you have friends, like you can go hiking with them, you can cook, you can just go for like walks. Like one of the most beautiful things is just go for a walk. If you're lucky enough to live by a beach, you can go for, like, you know, have a nice picnic, you know, workout buddies with your friends. Like there's so many things for you to do. You can build a business, you can start a podcast, for example. There's
two
so
single
many
people
starting
a podcast together. What more do you want?
Like my friends, and I'm very lucky, like I have a very diverse group of friends. Like some of them, I have poets, I have activists who are friends, I have singers who are friends. Like actually a lot of my friends are singers. I can't sing, but I absolutely admire music. But that also, like, you know, so then you have a lot of opportunities to have musical concerts or something, and you're constantly like, you know, putting up festivals, or, you know, get yourself involved, volunteering is so important. Go to a soup kitchen, organize a toy drive, organize a food
Yeah.
drive. Like there's so many things you can do. Like join an organization that you're passionate about. Join an animal shelter. Help clean up your community. Go vote. Join a political party. Like, are you kidding me? Like options खत्म ही नहीं होती हैं. Become a makeup artist. Learn a new skill. आपको अगर म्यूजिक नहीं आता, म्यूजिक सीखो, कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट बजाना सीखो.
Find an
आप
activity,
अपने
hobby.
आप को इवॉल्व करो एज अ पर्सन, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू फाइंड योरसेल्फ एक्चुअली. सो मेरी बात ये कहती है ना कि आप अपने आप को रिलेशनशिप्स के थ्रू, जो उसमें हार्ट ब्रेक के थ्रू, नॉट सेइंग कि आपने अगर लेट्स से यू आर गोइंग थ्रू रिलेशनशिप, यू डेटिंग समबडी, दैट्स फाइन, और यू हैड अ ब्रेकअप या आपको हार्ट ब्रेक हो रहा है, ठीक है, वो होता है, उसको एक्सेप्ट करो. लेकिन अपने आप को ढूंढने के लिए, अपने आप को इवॉल्व करने के लिए यार बुक्स पढ़ो. सबसे पहली तो बात ये है. फिर और बहुत सारे काम हैं.
पॉडकास्ट देखो लोगों का.
पॉडकास्ट देखो, बड़े अच्छे अच्छे पॉडकास्ट आ रहे हैं बाहर. हमारा पॉडकास्ट देखो.
हमारा पॉडकास्ट देखें. ये बात बिल्कुल सही है कि क्यों हार्ट ब्रेक के बाद आपको रियलाइज होता है कि ये चीजें डिफरेंट करनी है. पहले क्यों नहीं कर सकते रियलाइज, पहले से अपना फुट डाउन रख के क्यों नहीं कह सकते कि these are the things that make us happy, these are the things that get us upset. तो इसके हिसाब से.
Yeah, and I think एक बड़ी दूसरी important बात है कि as Desi women, we are constantly doing things for our family, for our friends. क्योंकि हमें सिखाया ये जाता है ना कि we always have to do things for other people to gain acceptance, to be the अच्छी लड़की, the ideal woman. So what that does is then we don't have space for ourselves and our own needs in our life.
And
so
that's what I was getting at. I myself had a difficult time understanding, like not necessarily being single. I had a difficult time understanding how to be alone and how to be okay with that. So and that also came to me by not by my choice. It was just, it happened to me. So I have a story for this. Like I remember it was my second year of university and I was at just our lunch area, whatever. And every single day, first year and first semester of second year, I always had some friend, buddy, whatever, to go hang out with in my breaks, right? Kisi ke saath kuch na kuch, it was always there. Ek din aaya when I didn't have, literally, I came out of class and I was like, oh, and I was gonna go eat and I was like, oh, ab main kya karu? What is this? And then I just walked to the cafeteria and I bought some food and I just sat, and it was so in my head it was so awkward, me sitting alone, okay, what am I gonna do? Because I'm a very social person in the sense that जब मैं खाना भी खा रही होती हूँ मुझे बातें करने का शौक है, right? And I always had someone to talk to, and in this moment I don't have anybody. So, and then I look around and I see there are a lot of people sitting alone, having their lunch, doing their thing. Someone's studying, someone's they're alone, and I was like, Mehru, what's the problem? करो ये खाओ खुद, क्या कर सकते हो? And so I did have that first lunch alone, and it was pleasant. It was a good time. I was just in my own thoughts. I was eating my food, using my phone, and it was nice. And so that was my first ever time alone.
So I've had similar things that I've done. So very first time I had wanted to go watch a movie. There was nobody available, right? And I just was like, I'm gonna go on my own. So I went on my own and I watched it and I really enjoyed it. Loved the movie. And I loved all the experiences, and I came back absolutely loving it, right? And it was just, so then that opened up this whole avenue for me, okay, I can spend time with myself. And then a couple right before the pandemic, 2019 actually, Kenny Sebastian, who I absolutely love.
Stand-up comedian, guys.
Oh my god, if you haven't watched Kenny Sebastian, please watch.
Very
Kenny
good looking as well.
Oh my god, he can sing, he can make you laugh, and he's so cute. So anyway, that was a little plug for Kenny Sebastian. But he was coming on a North America tour. So I was trying to get some tickets and try to go, but nobody was kind of going. And I really am a big ardent Kenny Sebastian fan. And then I said, you know what? Screw it. Who cares? I got front row seats, all by myself. And I sat in the front, right in front of Kenny Sebastian's face. Yeah. And I laughed by myself like crazy. His jokes were amazing. I enjoyed that day. That will be a memory that I will have for myself, because I took myself out, right? And I enjoyed, and then I have these shopping sprees that I do. It would be between season change. So I like get rid of my old clothing, donate them, and then I'd go for like a day at the mall, and that's just a day for me. So I would go and like I would get all my clothing and like what I want to do, and I just enjoy, maybe eat something and like get something healthy or so, and come back home. But it would be a day for myself. So doing small things for yourself to pamper yourself really means something, right? We get gifts for everybody else. Sometimes when I go do grocery shopping, I'll pick up flowers for myself. I love flowers. So for me, one of the most romantic things that I have, I'm very traditional in the sense, are gajre. So I don't know if you like the gajre, you can get them in Pakistan, right? Like phoolon ke gajre. I think gajre are just the most beautiful thing ever. So when I go to Pakistan, I buy gajre for myself. They just make me happy. I love jasmine, like moti ka phool, and gulab ka phool in Pakistan. I miss those the most. So whenever I go to Pakistan, I will go buy them, right? Or I'll go and take myself out for kulfa in Pakistan because I want to do it for myself, right? I haven't traveled alone yet.
No, those are all very like good activities, and there's not an activity that you cannot do it by yourself. For example, go-karting, you can go-karting yourself. Bowling, you can go. There's no competition, but there is competition too. कि दूसरा नाम लिख के खुद ही बोल कर दो, you're your own competition. But ये सारी चीजें अभी मैंने नहीं की, like watching a movie alone, because मैं हमेशा सोचती थी कि यार मूवी कैसे अकेले देख सकते हैं. You have to have someone next to you जिसको आपको यार ये क्या सीन है, or you have to be like हाँ मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं. But you can laugh by yourself and enjoy that movie, I guess. And eating out, for example, you can enjoy the meal and stay in your thoughts, like share that memory with yourself rather than having to tell somebody else.
A cousin of mine, once again another cousin of mine, she takes herself out on Valentine's Day dates. It's so cute. Like she'll actually dress up for herself really nice. She'll go to a really nice restaurant, order a really nice meal, then she'll do a little activity and get herself a little present. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. I've started doing since last year, and I write like a love letter to myself on Valentine's Day. Why do I have to write it to somebody else? Why not write it for myself, right? Acknowledging my.
It's very nice of you कि आप अपनी तारीफें कर सकती हैं. मैं अपने आप के लिए love letter लिखूँ. At the end of it, वो hate letter बन जाएगा. ओए तू क्या कर रही है?
But that's what it is. Like that was all. Maybe that's an episode on like self-love, and we can talk about that. But that's what it is. You have to be single. You have to be okay with being single. In order to experience all of this, in order to have this opportunity to be able to be comfortable in your skin, to be by yourself. Because no matter what in life, then your body is your home, and your soul is yours, and only yours to own, right? And so then it gives you that time.
We said that in our fat shaming episode too, body shaming episode, that you have to start loving the body you have, because it might stay skinny, might stay fat for the rest of your life, but you don't want to regret that you didn't love it when the time was right and you missed out on it, and years later you're like, you know what, I'm actually beautiful. So you don't want to miss out on those years. Your body is your body, and your body size or whatever, millions of other people have it, and there's nothing wrong with it. So same goes with it. Millions of other people are single and they're enjoying their life. So why can't you, right? Like, why can't we enjoy our life? And that we will transition into our pros and cons of being single, because we hear public service announcements. We are recommending everybody to be single because we are single and we are happy.
अगर आप एक happy relationship में, we're not asking you to
छोड़ो वो happy relationship अभी इसी वक्त मजाक कर रही हूँ, but अगर आप single हैं तो please enjoy करें उसको and be happy about it. And that is my public service announcement for that. So what are the pros and cons of being single, Talia?
I think पहले हम cons के बारे में, let's just talk about the cons. I guess सबसे बड़ा con तो like, of course, like there's crazy pressure, right? Like there's unbelievable amount of pressure.
इतना pressure है कि internal guilt बन गया है कि कुछ गलत कर रहे हैं.
And it's like bullying, as I mentioned. So when you're in that, it's going to have impacts on your health. और अगर आपको लग रहा है constantly कि मेरी जिंदगी में कुछ missing है, I'm not complete, मैं settled नहीं हूँ, मैं ये हूँ, it's gonna actually manifest. It's gonna manifest into mental and physical sickness. तो ये डेफिनेटली चीज है. So और इसके बारे में हमने बात की कि आपको अपनी फिर मेंटल हेल्थ को सेन रखना है, आपने अपने आप को देखना है, और फिर ये भी जानना है कि प्रेशर आ क्यों रहा है, तो फिर आप उसको चैलेंज करें, राइट? एक दूसरी चीज जो है कि इट्स रियलिटी, जो सब कहते हैं शादी करो ताकि मियाँ का ख्याल रखेगा, बट आपको उसको, he doesn't need to look after you, but definitely it is more expensive to do things on your own as a single person. Whether आपने mortgage लेनी है, आपने rent देना है, अकेले देना है, या आपने लेट्स से
गाड़ी की इंश्योरेंस,
घर के बिल, ग्रोसरीज वगैरह,
it's easier
ट्रिप
to
ट्रिप पे
say.
जाना है, आपने अकेले सारी ट्रिप को फंड करना, ऑफ कोर्स.
Yeah.
लेकिन once again, hey, if honestly at the end of the day the only thing that is the problem is the expenses, like come on, that's not enough of an excuse to
नहीं
just
जाएंगे
jump.
ट्रिप पे, सिंगल मर जाएंगे मगर ट्रिप पे नहीं जाएंगे,
तो मैंने
सिंगल
अगले
मर
दिन,
जाएंगे मगर गाड़ी की इंश्योरेंस नहीं पे
yeah,
करेंगे.
Meru the other day like said to me, she's like, yeah, let's just get you a sugar daddy, and I was like, Meru, मैं मर जाऊंगी लेकिन मैं हार नहीं मानूंगी.
हाँ नहीं माननी, मैंने कहा था कि
It was
how
a joke.
derogatory of me.
It was a
But
joke, don't worry, we were all...
and in the context of Pakistan, जैसे मैंने बात की, as a single woman, you will not have the services or resources that you need. You will be denied those. आपका time waste
yeah,
office
time waste
जाके.
होगा, denied होंगी, yeah, that you will get harassed so much, क्योंकि देखें, for example, and this has really big consequences, right? आपको अगर आपके, let's say आपको abusive relationship था and you're divorced and you're trying to live on your own as a single woman now, as a divorced woman, आपके लिए let's say child custody के issues हैं, आपको अपना like क्या कहते हैं identification card लेना, resources लेना, इतना है, सवाल करेंगे. और अगर
If you
let's
had an
say
abusive dad, you have to have his name on the Shanakti card.
all
ID
the
card पे
time,
उनका नाम होना है. आप ID card
उनके डॉक्यूमेंट्स लेकर आए तो आपको यू आर नॉट गोना गेट योर ओन आईडी कार्ड अगर आपके पास अपने अब्बा जी के आईडी कार्ड और इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है.
Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous the amount of strain that put on women to be able to get the core services that they need. And also like another thing is like, क्योंकि हमारी सोसाइटी में पेट्रियार्की जहाँ पे है, तो हर औरत ने आदमी को इस तरह ना कि हाय वो मेरे हस्बैंड को भिका के ना ले जाए, right? Or I know this for a fact that married, a couple of my friends were talking to me about this, is where some of their friends who are already married, their husbands will hit on them because they're single. So then single women will not want to hang out with married friends because they're uncomfortable with their husband, right? Because the way patriarchy works, whether it's in Western society, I'm not talking about Pakistan, over and over here, because the way women, like single women are seen as available, या तो किसी के लिए भी like ready होगी, right? या divorced ladies हैं, आप उनको harass इतना करते हैं. So I think, of course, ये pressure है, as being a single woman, आपको ये pressure लेना पड़ेगा. लेकिन obviously, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with somebody just because कि मैं ये pressure handle नहीं कर पाती हूँ. And but it's unfair. It's absolutely unfair, right? और आपको लोग objectify करते हैं, mistreat करते हैं. तो ये सारे मसले हैं. Like ये तो
these are all
बहुत cons हैं.
And these are big cons too, as in like these can have real impacts on your mental, physical health as well, right?
I mean, मेरा एक बहुत बड़ा life threatening I think कौन है जो मेरे साथ होता है, जो मुझे बड़ी मुसीबत होती है. वैसे मेरी मुसीबत ये है कि देखिए मैं ना बहुत unsafe किस्म की कुर्सियों के ऊपर, शेल्फ्स के ऊपर, स्टोर्स में, फ्रिज के ऊपर चढ़ती हूँ क्योंकि मैं बहुत छोटी हूँ हाइट में चीजें लेने के लिए. तो मुझे बस ये चाहिए कि एक मुझे बंदा चाहिए जो लाइक ऊपर से चीजें मुझे पकड़ा दे. But also that is dependent कि like my future partner is somebody जो लंबा हो. मेरी जिंदगी की बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है.
इतना महंगा पार्टनर क्यों, कोई बटलर रख लो. आपको बटलर चाहिए, आपको पार्टनर नहीं चाहिए.
मुझे एक्चुअली इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी चाहिए एक सीढ़ी में. That's the thing. Which I haven't.
Ladder.
The problem is I have not invested in a ladder and I'm thinking okay, maybe I should get a partner instead. But
ये तो है कि without a partner you can do everything. You can even get a अच्छी good मजबूत सीढ़ी like ladder. You still don't need a partner to get you that.
You're
you
right.
can give me a call, Talia. I will get on the.
And you know what? Like I've managed pretty well. Like
yeah, अभी तक survive कर लिया.
Maybe we can share like a little quick story. Like I was at Superstore the other day and I had to get some biscuits. And I couldn't find any. And then like मुझे दूर से like I saw okay on the very top shelf in the very back there's like this one packet left. And I'm like, okay, I have to get this, but I'm so short that my hand can't even like get to the back of that, right? So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I went around the other side of the shelf, right? And I'm like, okay, I see yellow. So I'm like, okay, these are Lay's chips. So it's behind the Lay's chips. So in my mind, somehow, I don't know how the hell, even though the Lay's chips were also on the top, I was going to be able to push it through or something, like throw something at it so it would fall and move forward. And I was doing this in a grocery store filled with people, and I'm like,
किसी के ऊपर जाके गिर जाता दूसरी side पे.
so imagine, and so you know, like where the lace chips are, they're not like slates, it's like the wire, like the wire.
मुझे तो memorized है aisles. आप मुझे ऐसे बोल रहे हो.
I am like, no, I'm talking about, like, you know, where they put chips, like the
Yeah.
chips, the racks are like,
Yeah.
they're like those metal racks. They're not actually like those plates.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to like step on them. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll come. And then it's like, okay, I'm gonna probably fall, so I should not. So then I go back around the other side to see if I had made any progress. No progress whatsoever. I had maybe just toppled over some chips on the other side. I'm like hiding. Now it's COVID too, and I don't really want to approach anybody. So then I see these two men walking by, and they're looking at me like as if I'm absolutely insane. And I like stop them, like, excuse me, can you just pull that box out for me? And he like looks at me like I'm a crazy person. And then, you know, it's COVID too, everybody's kind of scared. So he just like, you know, pulls out that entire box.
Like this.
And he's like, here, do you want? I'm like, no, I just want that one little packet. And then I was so embarrassed. I'm like, no, actually I wanted two. So I took both, I put them there, and I ran from there. But like, you know what, guys, you guys can make anything happen. Anything can work out. It's not an issue.
If you are determined and focused, you can do it. Just
so you just don't be like me and like, you know, risk your health, risk breaking
just
down.
ask someone
or get a ladder.
बहुत free के लोग फिर रहे हैं, आप उनसे पूछ लें. इतनी महंगी liability आप partner लेना चाहती हैं just for getting two biscuits.
Exactly. Or agar aap, like, you know, if you live in a country where like the average height is like, you know, above 5'6" or so, like you're
What
set.
country is average height is above 6 feet?
Mega 5'6".
कोई है कौन सी country ऐसी?
हमारे यहाँ पे
अच्छा,
there's so many.
Canada?
I'm sure, yeah. मैं ऐसे तुक्के मारी मगर everybody's so tall over here.
Yeah, like हमें.
But like,
but अच्छा अब ये perks, yes. Advantages बताएं क्योंकि
यार अनगिनत advantages
मुझे realize करवाएं advantages क्योंकि मैं भी कभी कभार sad हो जाती हूँ longing for love.
Yes, the thing is, सच्ची बात तो ये है कि being single is very being a बेचारी. बड़ी sad story है. जिंदगी बड़ी depressing है. Absolutely. यार बकवास. No, absolutely not. You know what? First of all, I think one of the biggest things is no emotional baggage, no emotional burden, right? आपको किसी के tantrums नहीं सहने हैं. You know, we all have tantrums. आपको सिर्फ अपने tantrums सहने हैं.
अपने मसले इतने हैं जिंदगी में, उफ तौबा. और जो भी है family friends के इतने मसले हैं, अब एक और बंदे का लेके क्या करना है यार? क्यों? Why would you take that emotional burden?
That sounds really like mean, but like at the same time, sometimes you are really.
If you're not ready, I think that's how.
Yeah, you're not.
If you're not ready, why would you take on another responsibility?
Yeah. And also the fact that some people can be toxic. So how are you going to be able to filter out that toxicity? I can't even say that word. Toxicity of the person and be able to maintain that. So एक तो वो बहुत बड़ी चीज है, right? So you don't have to, वो किसी तरह की झंझट के लिए आपको care ही नहीं करनी पड़ती. Any other like perks, Mehru?
I think हमने बोला था कि नो गीले तौलिए, जैसे हमने शफक और अली के साथ बात की थी हमारे पॉडकास्ट में कि क्या मसला हुआ था आप लोगों को गीले तौलिए रखने की, तो वो लोग हंस रहे थे. So that is something we are safe of.
Yeah, like you don't have to, like in that sense, like आपकी अपनी space है, like you can live your life the way you want it. अगर आपको अपने कमरे में you like your room a certain way, you like your coffee mugs put a certain way, or like these are silly things, but you know what, sometimes like you have your own space that you enjoy and the time that you enjoy by yourself, so you don't really have to, you know, alter that.
My biggest advantage of being single, my biggest perk of being single is that मेरा अगर मूड ऑफ होता है, अगर मैं बहुत मूड ऑफ हो जाता है, मैं अपने आप को खुद थप्पड़ मार के कहती हूँ ए सही हो जा, ठीक है, और मैं सही हो जाती हूँ और मैं I'm having fun. तो अगर समझो if I was in a relationship और मेरा mood off हो जाता, तो you know there's a game because they're trying to please you and they're trying to be like, oh please feel better and stuff, but at the same time you're like hard to get, you're like
आप अपना baggage किसी और पे डाल रहे हो because you're insecure yourself.
Yeah,
you have your own मसले.
अगर मेरा किसी दिन mood off होता है, मैं अपने आप को खुद ही ऐसे कह के यार ठीक हो जा, कोई मसला नहीं, then I'm happy. So I don't have to share that scenario with anybody, you know what I mean?
Nobody, exactly. And like I think another big thing is if you're career oriented or you're trying to pursue something or part of, you have so much independence to pursue your interest, free of constraints. You can do what you want, and like and you shouldn't be with a partner who constrains you. So you can obviously pursue an education, you can pursue a diplomatic career, you can pursue research, whatever you want, with a partner who supports that lifestyle, and that is ideal. But but don't compromise on your goals and your passions and your interests for a partner. So the perks of that is that you can do what you want and you're whole and you're complete, and if you love what you do so much, it will bring you fulfillment and happiness.
For example, George Clooney and Amal Clooney.
Yeah, they're like I give their example every day, like literally. Like
I thought this would be a good example to give at the end of the episode.
Oh my god, absolutely. Like, come on, like be like Amal, right? Like Amal, like come on, like she's the top human rights lawyer, right? This woman has like, and like who has not crushed over George Clooney their entire life?
Who hasn't crushed over Amal Clooney?
Both of them, but then and I mean, like, and then they both come together and like have like, you're like, wow, like it made sense. Like it makes sense why you wouldn't want anybody, you would wait that long, right?
Exactly. And that is what we're looking for. We're finding our George Clooney, guys. So हमें तंग ना करें, इसलिए हम single हैं. नहीं, but it's not like हम wait कर रहे हैं किसी चीज का, but just मजाक कर रही हूँ. Generally George Clooney नहीं आएगा तो मैंने शादी नहीं करनी कभी.
यार अपने goals तो high रखो. Oh हाँ, definitely.
यार George Clooney से है क्या?
मैं वही कह रही हूँ ना, goals high रखो, so compromise करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So just stay where you are, and like another thing is, right, like lastly, like when you get that time as well, you do get time to spend with your friends and family, and they're just as important. So and I always used to tell like my mom and like my aunties and all I said, like, we need to stop telling girls to sacrifice their life today, their relationships today, their goals and dreams today for a person they've never even met. They don't even know if this person exists. So when the right time is right, when the energy is right, like the person will come into their life, right? And I'm not saying like, you close yourself off to this whole point, but today, आज आप single हो, आप whole हो, आप complete हो, आप healthy हो, आप happy हो, आपको कोई बीमारी नहीं है, you're completely fine. Exactly. So just be happy being single the way you are. Enjoy, like there's perks, yeah, there's lots of perks being single. So enjoy that time, enjoy the time to enjoy, be happy with yourself and all the attention that you can get from
अभी रात के ना 11:30 हो गए, हम यार कितने सिंगल हैं, उफ कितने सिंगल हैं, हम ये पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं. But yes, that is the public service announcement for today. कि if you are single, be happy with it. अपने आप को complete समझो, whole समझो, और हम दोनों को देखो यार, चलो ना देखो but ले लो example चलो हमारा, पर हम असल में बहुत खुश हैं being single. We're very content, और अभी life में हमारे लिए और बहुत possibilities and choices आनी है career, and it could be relationship choices too, and we might be able to, but when the time is right, सबका अपना अपना time होता है.
Like that's the thing. Tomorrow I could say yes, I want to get married to, I find this person and I'm like, I'm ready to marry that person. Maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. I don't know when that time would come. I don't know when that person's going to come into my life, but that doesn't mean I'm going to spend these next moments or like this journey of my life being miserable because mere mein kuch kami hai. I'm not, like, I'm fine. Like, it's just the person has not come into my life that I want to welcome into my life, right? Exactly. So that is, if we can have that mindset, it allows us to live in the present and enjoy being who we are, and then also knowing कि ये हमारी double standard society में आ कहाँ से रहे हैं.
It's about not being insecure. बिल्कुल भी नहीं होना इस बारे में. Yeah.
बिल्कुल.
But बहुत अच्छा मैसेज आपने दिया तालिया. Thank you so much. ख़वातीनो हज़रात, इसी के साथ हम अपना एपिसोड एंड करते हैं, और प्लीज लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें हमारे वीडियो को, सॉरी चैनल को. वो टी सीरीज का नहीं लग रही, लाइक बटन दबाएं, बेल आइकॉन दबाएं, नोटिफिकेशन करें.
बिल्कुल, और इस वीडियो को जरूर शेयर करना मत भूलिए अपने दोस्तों के साथ, अपने
सिंगल दोस्तों के साथ,
अपनी फैमिलीज के साथ, अपनी रिश्ते वाली आंटीज के साथ, सबको शेयर करें. और वो जो सब लोग आपको कहते हैं ना वो गलत लड़कियों की तरह ना बनो, उनको भी दिखा दो.
हम हैं वो गलत लड़कियां, gangsters. But yeah, so do you want to do the 3, 2, 1?
Absolutely, Mehru.
Okay,
we have to do that.
So, I'm gonna do it. Okay. Or you're gonna do it.
You do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.